Good morning, everyone. We are here today on Monday. We were not here on Friday. I was sick. I don't get sick too often, but my nose was messing up, so we consulted a professional. That's what you're supposed to do whenever you are having problems. Consult a professional. I was a bit of a fish and just tried to forget about it for a little while, and it turns out if you try to fix your problems yourself and you don't know what you're doing because you're not a medical professional, or, well, in poker, a poker professional, or in swimming, a swimming professional, or in learning a language professional, etc., you will have poor results. And you don't want to have poor results, you want to have good results. There we go. How do we do this? Nice. I got to sleep in today. Grandpa came over last night because there was supposed to be a snowstorm here in New York City, and I got to sleep in. So I woke up about 7 minutes ago. That's why we're 2 minutes late. I got on my computer. I was ready to go on time, but then all my programs, for some reason, wanted me to log into them again. So that took me a little while. Hope everyone had a great weekend. You might as well have a good weekend instead of a bad weekend. Today, let's talk about something that's very important. Let's talk about priorities. You may say, I already know what I want and I make a point to get it. Well, good job, good work. But I really do think it is important for everyone, myself included. I'm really going to be using myself as an example today. It's very important that you sit back and think, what do you actually want in life? And, think a little bit big. Don't think, I want to go from go from being a losing 1-2 player to a break-even 1-2 player. Think, in your ideal world, what would you like? Think about it, right? So, let's say I, personally, well, first off, a lot of people have things they want, but things they don't care enough about to do anything about. For example, I wanted to learn various languages for a long time. I think it'd be really neat. I've downloaded many apps on my phone. I have books. I have all sorts of learning materials. I'm perfectly equipped to learn, but I do not find time. So, do I actually want that thing? Do I actually want to learn to speak Spanish, right? And I think the answer is yes, but I'm doing a poor job of prioritizing it. So, what am I prioritizing ahead of it? That's what's very important for you to ask yourself, right? I know that roughly an hour and a half each day, I spend consuming nonsense. Nonsense are things like playing games on the computer, watching a YouTube video, watching SNL, watching TV shows, right? This is all nonsense. Average American watches, I don't know how many hours of TV a day. Let's call it 3. And it's well proven now that you can learn a new language in about a year if you spend about 30 minutes a day on it. 30 minutes a day. So that means if you watch, let's say, an hour and a half of nonsense like I do, I'll still have an hour left. I also want to be in better shape. Do I actually, though? Well, I haven't been in the gym much. I've been in the gym maybe 1 day a week since the new baby was born 2.5 months ago. And, I'm starting to feel it. I'm getting a little bit weaker. And, the question is that okay? Because I had a lot of work to do. But was I actually making full use of that time, right? So, if I have an hour and a half free in the day that I'm spending on nonsense, stop spending it on nonsense, right? I can spend an hour of it in the gym, spend an hour of it learning language. And after a year, I'm going to be in better shape, and I'm going to be, I'm going to know a different language, right? So then the question becomes, am I lazy? And I think most people don't like to think of themselves as lazy people, but I do think most people are lazy, myself included. We would rather do the easy thing. And do I need to learn another language? No, right? Do I need to be in good shape? No, but I would like to. Now, everyone out there, sit and actually figure out what you do want. What do you actually want? And then, you have to understand that a lot of people, like Mark's already said, I want to get really good at poker, but I have things in the way like family and career. Well, you have to ask, do you want your family and your career more than being good at poker? And the answer is probably yes, right? So if that's the case, if you do want family and career more than poker, and you also realize you're not spending any of your time on nonsense, then maybe that's just not something that's going to fit in your life. I know a lot of people don't like to think about that, but that is something that you have to accept, right? So I think a lot of people don't quite understand that just because you want something, that it is practical, right? For example, I would love to go play the Magic the Gathering professional tour. Why? I don't even know. It's nonsense, right? It's just purely nonsense. And it's nostalgia, right? So I have some weird form of nostalgia in my brain that makes me want to do this. I love the game, and it's a good competitive outlet. However, it's also useless, right? And on top of that, it's not practical, because to be able to do it, you have to go and you have to grind the live Magic the Gathering circuit, which I'm just not going to do. I don't have time for that. It's not a priority. So I need to get rid of that out of my brain, that idea that, oh, that would be cool to do, because it's a waste of time and a waste of mental energy. If you know that you have a great career that takes 60 hours a week, and you have a great family that takes 40 hours a week, well, you want to sleep some, so there's no time for poker, right? I mean, maybe that's just what it is. So you have to understand that sometimes just because you want something does not mean it is actually practical, right? Let's see. We have a question that seems to be a nonsense one. You have 8-6 of diamonds. You raise to the pot size of the pot. Flop king. Queen, queen, 5 with 2 diamonds. You checked. One of your opponents bet and you called. Okay. Another diamond came. Your opponent bet and you raised them all in. I probably wouldn't do that. I probably would just bet the flop and bet the turn. You say you ended up losing. I mean, that's fine. Why would you be unhappy when you lose whenever you have almost a nuts? Get over that. Get over that real quick. Let's see. Right, Mark is mentioning about the Magic the Gathering thing. I'm using that as an example of something that is nonsense, right? It is complete nonsense for me to spend my time thinking that that is something that would be neat and cool. Because it's irrelevant, right? Like you say, it's very difficult to get onto. And it's even more difficult to get onto today. Because they keep making it more difficult and more difficult. And it's nonsense. So I need to get that out of my brain, and I think I've done a very good job of that. Some people spend their time, I've done this in the past, playing games like Hearthstone, where they'll sit there and they'll play. Hearthstone does a great job of this, by the way, something that poker sites need to figure out. They want you to be addicted. In Hearthstone, they have you basically play something like 5 games a day to get rewards. And if you don't play them, you lose the opportunity to get them. If poker did something like that, man, people would be playing poker all the time. They've tried it with silly treasure chests and stuff, but that's again nonsense. It's useless. They need to give daily rewards, because daily rewards will get you to come back and play all the time. So a lot of people spend time on that every single day. They spend 5 or 10 minutes doing that every single day. And I mean, 10 minutes a day, if you do 10 minutes a day of a language for 3 years, you will have learned it to some extent, right? And would you rather know a language in 3 years or have some magical coins in a game that is irrelevant, that you're never going to be the best at, that if you are the best at, it doesn't even pay, right? I mean, it's complete nonsense. So you have to ask, are you the type of person who wants to get the nonsense out of your life, or are you the type of person who is fine doing exactly what you are doing and never moving up, right? A lot of people want more out of life, but they don't want to do anything about it. And that's because they completely lack priorities. Dave says you're down to 3/4 of the big blind, came back to chip leader and made it to the final table to take 4th place. Good job. What's my favorite Magic format? Vintage. Although, I think I would say Legacy at the moment. Vintage is a little bit stale. Recently bought my tournament coaching app. I guess that's Instapoker. Good job. If you like that, check out pokercoaching.com. It's very similar, much cheaper, and has way more content. You see a bright future for poker. I see a neutral future for poker. Depends on how it goes. A lot of things can go a lot of different directions, right? I think poker is in a spot right now where it's sort of in a holding period to see what happens with legislation in a lot of the major countries. If it goes well, then it'll go great. If it goes poorly, then maybe not so great. Also depends on how it happens with things like cryptocurrency. If it becomes very easy to get money online and there's nothing anyone can do about it, like the government, then I think that will also be useful. The problem is cryptocurrencies are currently very non-user friendly, right? And if they figure out a way to become user-friendly, then perhaps it will become a little bit better. But again, there's a lot of hurdles right now that a lot of them have to get overcome. You heard that paradoxical outcome is really causing problems in Vintage. I don't think it's necessarily that. It's a good card. It's a good card. I mean, really, it's a 4-mana card, though, right? 4-mana cards, you're supposed to win the game when you can cast a 4-mana card in Vintage. We're not going to talk about Magic the Gathering here. That's not what we're doing. How do you find the fold button in a tough spot in a Turbo Mania? Listen, I'm not going to talk about spots where you're supposed to be folding whenever your opponent has the nuts. Sometimes your opponent has the nuts, right? If it comes 10-7, 4-3-2, and the guy shows up with pocket 7s, yeah, you're going to lose. Get over it. When you have 25 big blinds, don't fold over pairs. If you do, you're a fish, and you're never going to win. Simple as that. Don't care about bad beats, unlucky situations. Get over it. Louis Philippe says, you'd really like to figure out how to how to structure a 3-hour coaching session, how to get the most out of it. Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what you need to be doing, Louis Philippe. It depends on what you're trying to learn, first off. I mean, once you get to be pretty good, like I know you are, Louis Philippe, the best thing you need to do is hire a coach or go to something like the Inner Circle and submit hands where someone who you respect, who ideally, knows the games you're playing. I mean, I think maybe I told you this, maybe I didn't, but you need to find someone local who is beating the games that you want to be beating. Like, say you're playing 2-5 and 5-10. Find someone who's really crushing 5-10 or 10-20, whatever the bigger games are, and then learn from them because they're going to know all the regulars in your game. And if you're friendly, which, like, I know you are, then hopefully you'll be able to get some sort of either a good deal on coaching or you'll just make a friend. And if they view you as good too, they're happy to help you and you'll help them and you'll share reads and you'll collaborate, right? Collaborating with other good people in your area who play the same games you play is very beneficial. That's how I got good playing Sit and Goes a long time ago. I collaborated with literally all the best Sit and Go players in the world. I was not the best when I started collaborating with them, but they viewed me as someone who had potential who could perhaps be beneficial down the road, I guess, or they just wanted to help other people. And I suggest you do something like that too. Find people in your area and collaborate with them on a regular basis. Before your sessions, go and have lunch, or after your sessions, have dinner and watch training videos together, watch poker shows together, do things like that, and figure that out. Also, Louis Philippe, I would tell you to be very specific with what you're trying to learn. If you're trying to learn how to deal with 3-bet pots out of position, let's say, really focus on that and try to figure out how to really get that drilled down well. And do that. What do you think about check raising a hand with no showdown value? Check raising a hand with no showdown value if it has some equity is a very good idea. Don't do it with garbage though. That's ridiculous. Online poker is much difficult than 1-2 live. That is definitely true. 1-2 live is very, very, very soft, Mark. Way softer than any online game. All right, let's see what else. Get rid of the nonsense. So listen, okay. I kind of told you all how I kind of got rid of the Magic the Gathering nonsense. I realize it's something I do for fun, and right now at this point in my life, I don't have time for fun. I just don't, right? And that's because I have other priorities. I have a little bit of time for fun, but I have other priorities right now, right? I have 2 little boys, who I want to spend time with. They're not objects, so I guess who is the right term instead of which. I have a poker coaching business, right? I want to continue learning and studying poker, right? I want to continue playing poker. I need to hang out with my wife. James has started doing this thing where he says, I need water. I need popsicle. I need blueberries. It's very cute. Yeah, I don't think he understands the difference between need and want. But These are all things that I need / want in my life more than I want to sit around and play Magic the Gathering all day, right? And that's important for you to prioritize things. And, when you're a kid, you don't really have to prioritize a whole lot. But as you grow up and you get more and more and more responsibilities, you have to prioritize things and you have to figure out what you are trying to accomplish. How many hours a week would you say I work? Maybe 5. To be fair, work. What does work mean? Work, in my mind, means doing things I don't necessarily want to do. Maybe 5. Most things I do, I don't mind. I want to do. They're enjoyable. They're fun. Sometimes I view like grinding out poker coaching quizzes as work because it is a little bit tedious. You have to make sure you get all the numbers right, all the scores right. You have to make sure you plan ahead. You have to enter the hands properly. It's a bit of a process, but it's not like work in my mind. It's enjoyable. That said, how many hours do I spend on all of my endeavors relating to poker and poker coaching? I don't know, 90, give or take. But I don't mind it because I don't view it as something that I dread. I think a lot of people dread their job. They dread their employment, right? And like Lewis says, does this count as work? Does doing a little coffee count as work? Like, no, not in my mind, right? Because it's enjoyable. Look, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to have my coffee anyway. I could be right now watching a YouTube video doing nonsense, or I could be helping everyone. This is, again, just figuring out a way to prioritize my time better, right? Doing something that benefits not only myself, but also all of you. Why don't you need to play better poker if you hardly play anymore? Plaza, I think you don't understand my job. My job, essentially, is to help all of you become better poker players. If I stagnate, if I stop growing, I am all of a sudden becoming a very unethical teacher. Teachers need to continuously be learning, and they need to always actively work hard. Also, I still put in a decent volume each year. Actually, not a decent volume, but a decent amount of buy-ins. I'm trying to think what I bought him for last year. Maybe like $300K in my spare time. I mean, I really didn't play much last year. So let's say I put in $300K last year in buy-ins. Would I rather have 40% ROI or 10% ROI, right? Somebody get out a calculator. 300,000 times 30% is $90,000. Would I rather make $90,000 in exchange for studying, I don't know, 10 hours a week, 15 hours a week? I'd rather get that 90K. Plus, it also makes me an actual good poker coach instead of someone who's just spewing nonsense, which is what the vast majority of poker people do because they don't actually work hard and they don't actually care about their students. They just want to make money. I'm in an interesting spot where I don't really care that much about making money, and I also want to get good. And also, going back to the Magic the Gathering thing, I'm never going to be on the Magic the Gathering pro circuit, but I already am effectively on the poker pro circuit, and to stay there, or at least to stay anywhere near reasonably competitive, you must make sure you're actively studying and getting better all the time. I mean, I realized I was following behind maybe 5 or 6 years ago, so I bought a piece of one of the best poker backing companies, Poker, purely to get access to their training materials, because I wanted to make sure that I was staying on top of the game, and I knew their coaches. I mean, I didn't even know their coaches were coaches for them, and then I started doing a little bit digging and realized, oh my god, these are all the people who I know are the best. Let's learn from them. How's James? James is outside crying right now. He's having breakfast. Anyway, it is my job to be as good at poker as I can. At this moment in life, I am like a stabled pony. But once those kids get a little bit older, we will be back out there in full force. If you think you want to get better at something bad enough, you will find time. Fred, I think your phrasing right there is exactly the problem that a lot of people have. A lot of people want to find time, but you're never going to find time. You need to make time. You have to make time. You must make time. If you do not make time, you're not going to do it. For example, a little coffee, right? I carved out roughly an hour, 3 days a week for this. And I do it unless something important comes up, like I had to go to the doctor the other day. I would rather my nose not fall off, so I'd rather do that than do a little coffee. But you have to make time. I definitely suggest everyone get on some sort of a schedule. To be fair, my schedule since I've had kids has been a little bit lax. Since Amy's been home, it's been a little bit lax because I try to go out and do stuff with her since she's been home on maternity leave. But whenever she goes back to work, you can guarantee I'm going to be working from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. every day while she's at work. And that's how you really do get a lot done. And it's important to realize during that 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., I'm not goofing off. I mean, during my lunch, I'll watch a YouTube video or something for 30 minutes. But besides that, we're grinding hard. And that's how you get a lot of stuff done. And once I do get back on that schedule, I think it's going to be easier to get back in the gym because we're not going to be distracted throughout the day to do other things. But, yeah, that's it. Do I tell sometimes? I really don't think so. I'm pretty good at mindset issues at this point, mostly thanks to a guy named Elliot Rowe. Very, very, very great mindset expert who's helped me a lot and a lot of other people a lot. What's a realistic monthly profit percentage? Pam, this is a terrible question. You say nothing about volume, you say nothing about your skill level, etc., etc. How much an hour are your sessions? I charge $500 an hour for private coaching, but we have many, many more cheap opportunities than that. We have pokercoaching.com, which is free to sign up. We have the Inner Circle, which I think is roughly $100 a month at the moment, although that might be going up soon because we have too many students in there. You can find that at pokercoaching.com/Inner Circle. How soft would you say the average 1K is? Depends on your skill levels, right, Lewis? If you are very, very good, 1Ks are going to be a cakewalk. If you are not very good, 1-2s are going to be tough. It's always important to realize that skill levels are relative. For example, someone sent me an email yesterday saying that they do great against recreational players, but then when they play against good pros, they tend to struggle a bit. And yeah, it's because you're not as good. And this person said they think they are very good at poker, but they're not winning against good players. Well, what does that mean? It means you're not very good at poker, right? It means you have this idea of yourself in your mind. You built up this image of, I'm a good poker player because I beat these people. Which, it's all relative. Again, if all you ever do is beat those people, then it's relative. But if you do move up and play against better people, the game gets way, way tougher. And to be fair, you may never be a winner against the best players in the world because they're the best players in the world, right? That's why game selection is very important. Let's see. Yeah, Plaza, I realize you're not attempting to knock me or anything. I'm just making a point to say that my job is to provide, especially at this exact point in my life, my job is to provide the best poker education I can to my students. How do I do that? It's by continuing to study a lot and be at the front of the learning curve. That's why I work with all the best players in the world to try to make sure that I am doing the best I possibly can for all of you. I think a lot of people don't realize the amount of research and development that goes into being a professional poker coach, at least if you're going to be a good one. And it's part of the job. And I don't mind it. Now he says a realistic expectation is negative ROI. Yeah, that's right. Kevin says buy membership at pokercoaching.com. Yes, I agree. How many events do you plan on playing at the World Series? Not a lot. I think something like 10 or 12, give or take. How do you know how skilled you are if you're not bankrolled to play the bigger tournaments? If you're not bankrolled to play the bigger tournaments, then you're probably not skilled enough. Fortunately, in poker, if you're skilled enough, you will get a bankroll very, very, very quickly. And especially if you don't really mind being aggressive with bankroll management, you'll be able to move up very, very quickly. Like say you want to keep 50 buy-ins for soft tournaments or 30 buy-ins for soft tournaments. You'll get that really, really fast if you have a game you can play regularly, you can grind out. But again, Plaza, I know you have an issue with volume. That's a big problem. Putting in volume is a prerequisite to getting good at poker and to developing your skills. Scooped your first circuit ring. Good job, Edward. Congrats. If you get in any of my memberships before the price goes up, we will not ever up the price on you. You are always locked into whatever price you have. All right, let's see. You're in the profit off one tournament win online. Lewis, you have to understand, if you look at any good tournament players' results, they go down, 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 then they spike up. Then they go down, 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 then they spike up. That's how it always looks, right? And really, if you just look at like your top 10 scores, that very easily, like over the course of a long career, like look at the 10-year career of a good live player, for example. They may only have 10 big scores. And those 10 big scores are literally all of their profits, right? Or maybe more than all their profits. That's just how tournaments work. Let's see. Henderson says, you were beating small stakes amazingly well. You couldn't be more thankful to me. Well, good. I'm glad that you're having good results. That's exactly what we're trying to do. Wayne says, I add lots of free value. That's for sure. I do my best. I mean, you have to understand. My job here, sit out, hang out, talk about poker, provide value, help you all become better at poker and at life. And if you think it's beneficial, you will do things to help me out. Like click subscribe, leave reviews for books, sign up for poker coaching, because you think I provide value. And you should do that for all the content creators you enjoy. If you think they actually provide significant value to your life, do not be afraid to pay them back. I know a lot of people don't actually have anything to sell. They don't have anything they're actually working on beyond exactly their content. So they set up things like Patreon and things like Patreon. I know Patreon had some scandal recently. I don't even know. Try to not get too involved in all this stuff because it's too much stuff that's irrelevant to me because I don't have that myself. But anyway, support the people who make the content for you, because if you don't, they may stop. All the time I see on YouTube, for example, I try to do a decent amount on YouTube. There are people who start a channel, they're really active, they do it for like 6 months, they only get 2,000 subscribers, and like, oh, this is not worth it, I quit. Those are people who are not doing it for the right reason. Or it wasn't the priority for them, right? And I can guarantee you, for at least the next 5 or 10 years, my foreseeable future is my main priority is helping all of you get better at poker and life. And to be a good father and to be a good husband. Those are my main priorities. Secondary priorities, get back on the poker circuit and play well. That's about all I have. Wayne, go read pokercoaching.com. Go read jonathanlittlepoker.com/bankroll and lower all the numbers by a little bit. Let's see. You purchase some of Somerville's merchandise to support him. Yeah, sure. It's a good way to do it, right? He doesn't sell any sort of products. He makes money off of sponsorship deals and ads and merchandise sales, right? Work ethic is a big part of my appeal as a teacher. Well, thank you. Your win rate should help you determine how skilled you are. Correct. What's the best source to get better at tournaments? Pokercoaching.com. Selfless plug. All right, what are your stats? 28, 22, 7% 3-bet, 59% C-bet. I mean, these stats seem reasonable. I would tell you to consult a good short-handed player in your games, because maybe these are not exactly right for your games. For example, maybe in your game's ideal stats are more like pre-flop 3-bet, 12%. I don't know. I typically 3-bet a little bit more than 7% personally, but I don't know exactly what's right in your game. So I would tell you to do a little bit of study and find good winning players in your game or the stake slightly higher than that and see what their stats look like. Let's see. Yes, it's tough to build without a lack of volume. I completely agree. So you need to find ways to put in volume. You won 2 1,100-person tournaments in the first 2 weeks since signing up to poker coaching. Well, good job, good work. Crazy echo on your end. As far as I can tell, no. I think everything's working. Will poker be solved soon? It already is. Oh, it already is for the most part. My friend Michael Acevedo essentially solved it. And there you go. Do you have any international students? Most of my students are international students. Let's see. You made the final table of a Borgata 100K. Good job. Lots and lots of success stories are taking place. That is fantastic. Can I scroll up to look at a hand? No. Copy and paste it if you actually care for me to do that. Glenn says, you was playing against an aggro 1-3 table. You were chip leader with over 1,500 in front of you. That doesn't really matter. What matters are the effective stacks. You had ace queen in the big blind. You bet $20 and got 5 callers. I guess that's mean people limp to you and you raise. All right. Flop comes ace king 2. You had queen. You said you had an okay heart. I guess you had queen of hearts. All right. You bet 70, got raised. All in for 350. Another player called. You called. I mean, that's probably fine. I don't know. You're getting very good pot odds at the moment. Glenn says, what's their website? I don't know what website you're asking about. Using GTO incorrectly and getting away from intuitive poker has been the hardest adjustment. You have to understand that whenever you're learning fundamentally sound strategies, it is not to blindly follow fundamentally sound strategies. Your strategy should be very dependent on whenever your opponents do wrong. Whenever you play with a solver, there's this feature called node locking, where basically you can say, I think my opponent uses this strategy. They can input their strategy, right? Not the GTO strategy, whatever their actual strategy is. So let's say you're going to tell the program that you think that the player always check raises their top pairs every time, because you just know they do that. If they always check raise their top pairs, and that's not GTO, well, the input or the output that the program is going to give you is going to be very different than if they play GTO, right? So you want to make sure that you are always adjusting to whatever your opponents do incorrectly. And you need to take care of that. And you need to realize that. And if you just play blind GTO, that's going to win way less money than that. You think Pio solved it before Michael. As far as I know, UK Robotics, no one had actually spent the time to solve it. It took Michael about 4 years to do it. Most people are not willing to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on servers like he is. And maybe the German conglomerate did it first. I don't know. He's the first person I know who has actually said out loud, we have the game solved. It's just a matter of now doing it. Should winning satellites to live events count towards your profit? Yes, but also buying into the live tournament and losing should count towards your losses, right? So if you're going to have a spike up for the main event, then if you lose, it's going to be a spike right back down. I know for taxes, in theory, you're supposed to have the win count and the loss count against you. So that's, you don't just like net them out and say, I lost $1,000. Or also, funny enough, if you win the satellite and then lose the main event, you're still down, right? Satellites are brutal. I definitely do not suggest satellites for the vast majority of people. For many, many, many reasons. We can go into that one day if you'd like, but I've talked about it a few times. Can we give you any tips for maintaining focus? Drink a little bit of coffee. Not all the time, only when you're playing poker. I always make a point to get off of coffee a few days before we go to play poker. Make sure poker is your main focus. Don't have all sorts of stuff going on in your day-to-day life. Don't be worried about a fight you're having with your significant other. Don't be dealing with business issues. Don't be watching TV. Don't bet on sporting events while you're playing poker, because then you're going to be glued to the TV screen, right? So things like that. You need to make sure poker is your main focus. Also, get up and walk around, get up and stretch. Pay attention to stack sizes. Really find ways to pay attention, right? Focus on things. I was writing something yesterday, and I was basically saying, I think playing live poker, if you're doing it right, is sort of like 8 to 16 tabling online. Because you need to be focusing on people's tells. You need to be focusing on who's focusing. You need to be focusing on who's paying attention, who's on tilt, people's general strategies. Yes, the actual game is very slow, but there's a whole lot more you can be taking in if you're paying attention. And a lot of people just don't pay attention. Ryan said, you signed up to poker coaching the other day and you're already making your way through the quizzes. Good job. How will online poker players stop players using GTO software? Most of them already have stopped people from using GTO software. I know all the big backing companies were in the process of developing a GTO solver that played in-game, but the first one who put out an even basic version of that, PokerStars banned all of their players. So don't do that. Programs are tough, though, because a lot of times you can't restrict things, and even if you can, all the sites aren't going to be doing that. That said, anyone who is playing on, or who is using any sort of programs in-game is risking getting in a lot of trouble, because it is against the terms and conditions of most sites. And Dante says in New Jersey you can use software, in Nevada you can't. I think you're just referring to heads-up displays. And I'm pretty sure the programs that a lot of the sites are using, or a lot of the conglomerates are using, is way, way more advanced than a heads-up display. Well, I guess in theory it is a heads-up display, but it's a solving heads-up display that runs in-game. That's a big problem. The problem is poker is a game that's played for money, right? And when you're playing a game that's played for money, people are incentivized to try to find ways to get an edge over their opponents. And the problem is that some things are very easy to make illegal, and some things are very difficult to make illegal. And I mean, I remember there was this guy who was streaming on Twitch who was in Nevada using a heads-up display. And this was despite the fact that all the major heads-up displays did not work on those sites, and they shouldn't. But this guy still had a heads-up display. I think he got banned immediately after this, as he should. But the site couldn't track it. It's not one of the major sites, so they're not trying to follow the rules. And this player was incentivized to try to break the rules because he wanted to make as much money as he could, right? And it's a problem, and it's hard to police. That's the problem. Is like, should you make something illegal if it's really hard to police? And I think the answer is yes. You just have to figure out ways to police it. It's hard to do. All right. I'm a huge inspiration. Well, thank you. Greetings from Germany. Hello, hello. I don't know any German. I'm sorry. Otherwise, I would say hello in German. But hello to Germany. Do I have a heads-up setup you can import? No, just go to Hold'em Manager setup. Just go to Hold'em Manager. Search it on the internet. Find something that someone uses that you like. How differently do $10,000 main events play from $400 circuit events? Skill level is drastically different for the most part. The bad players are still bad, but it's just way more good players. Typically, as you move up, the main difference is the composition of good players to bad players, right? In a $400 tournament, it's going to be like 90% recreational players because it's not worth most pros' time to roll out of bed and go play a $400 tournament because they know they're going to have, if they're really good, 100% ROI. So they go there, they make $400 on the day, which is fine, but not a lot, right? And it's not a lot. So if that's not worth the pros' time, it means they're not going to go play. That means it's going to be mostly recreational players. So for that reason, the $400 tournaments are usually pretty soft. What about a 10K though? The pro can go play a 10K with 30% ROI and make 3K. 3K in a day or two is usually very good. So the pros are all going to go play that. So the pro to amateur composition in a 10K may be 80% pros, 10% recreational players, whereas it's 10% pros, 90% recreational players in the $400 tournament. And usually in the $400 tournament, the pros are the not very good pros, right? So that's important to take into account. But anyway, 10Ks are way tougher. That's what it amounts to. There's just way more good players. Criminal laws only make sense when there is a victim. Victimless crimes like speeding are just about control of and revenue collection. I'm not sure that's true. Whenever people speed, they cause more wrecks. I'm sure that's been definitively proven. If you go way too fast or way too slow, you cause more accidents. So be careful with that. Also, in poker, for example, if you use a heads-up display and they are specifically forbidden on your site, yes, they're... What is this person doing? All right, there we go. If something is specifically prohibited, using it gives you an edge. So there are victims. The victims are both the players and the site. You may not think the site's a victim, but if you're supposed to be winning less money, because they know if you use a heads-up display, you're going to win less money. If you don't use the heads-up display, you should win less money, which means the site should rake more. So not only are you, quote-unquote, stealing money from the players, you're also stealing rake from the sites. And they can make it up however they want whenever they take you to court and get you in a lot of trouble. So I'm not going to say most crimes, but a lot of crimes are not necessarily just bad. There's no immediately clear victim, but there are victims. I mean, whenever you do anything in life, there is a victim, right? Whenever we drink this coffee here, maybe there were victims that made the coffee. Maybe they're not getting paid fair wages, right? That's not right. But it's the world we live in. Whenever I have this cup, I'm drinking this from this metal cup. It's probably an expensive cup, right? Someone had to make it. There's probably victims. But it's the world we live in, unfortunately. Do you prefer a bankroll tracker app? I just use Excel. I had one on my phone, but it broke because they didn't update it because probably there's no money in making poker apps. That's why I make all my apps free. If you've not checked out the Float the Turn Push Fold app, there's a cool little quiz feature in there. You can test yourself in a slow structure, a fast structure, etc., etc. It's completely free. We're not going to charge you for things that should be free, like some of the other apps out there. All right, let's see. LA tournaments are not covered very well by the cameras. Watch everyone. You should always watch everyone. What are my thoughts on the increase of starting stacks? I think it's irrelevant. Very often they just increase the blinds. Listen, all the tournaments take the same amount of time to finish. I know last year some of the tournaments took 5 days, I think. And this year some of them they're all going to take 4 days. At least that's what is scheduled. So that means the structures are worse. So Julio, anytime they give you more chips, they just take out blind levels. And if they do make the structure better, that's nice, but they're not going to. All right, Playboy got it last week, took third one day. Good job. 3-0 all into the break. Short stack walked away, and his chips got combined into the pot at some unknown point. Comes back. They play 2 orbits later, etc., etc. Yeah, K-Cap, something you should always do. Take a photo of your chips when you leave the break. That said, if somehow a random short stack gets combined, that's a big problem. One time, one of my friends, who's a very good online player, but he makes more mistakes in live poker than anyone I've ever seen. He came back from a break at the World Series of Poker, sat down. His stack was like right here. His opponent's stack was like right here, or the guy next to his stack was right here. He took them and shuffled them together. Not trying to steal them or anything, he's just a fish. And the guy came back, he's like, I have no chips. And then my friend's looking around, he's like, oh, I think I took these chips by accident. So then they call security, etc., etc. They pause the tournament for like an hour, trying to figure out what's going on. And they eventually resolve the issue. But don't be a fish. Always take a photo before you break. All right, have we announced the winner of the Mid-States Poker Tour giveaway? Not yet, but we have poll day winner, and we have sent that person an email. They have, in theory, 7 days to get back to me before we draw another winner. But if you didn't get an email, it probably wasn't you. Would the World Series of Poker bracelet events be an exception to the point I just made? Maybe. But I mean, like, if you think about the Colossus and the Big 50, those are all super soft. I played the Colossus 1 year, and I'm never doing that again, honestly. It was a madhouse there. The structure was not good. It was just a mess, right? I mean, the environment was a mess in my opinion. I don't want to go to the Rio and have the place flooded. I like to be able to get up and go to the restroom during the breaks. I like to be able to get food when I want to. I don't want to have to wait in a giant line. Maybe I'm a bit of a diva. That said, yes. So whenever you're looking at that many people, like let's say there's 10,000 people in a tournament, there's only like 500 good poker players in the world. So 1 in 20 will be very good. Let's say there's 1,000 good players in that field. 1 in 10 will be very good. So that's still just not a very big composition, right? What's the best way to use advanced poker training? I don't know. Ask them on their site. You just found my channel. Well, welcome to it. Thanks for the uploads. We have lots and lots of uploads here. We've only been doing this for about 15 years. All right. What's my opinion on the new shuffling machines? Everyone wants to try to think that these things are rigged. Listen, none of the casinos are rigging anything against you. If they think that they are rigging it against you, you are a fish. You are a fish. I'm sorry. If you think that the sites are rigged, the shuffling machine is rigged, the dealers are cheating you, whatever, 99.99% of the time, you are going to be looking for an excuse for the reason why you are not doing well. Just is what it is. So, understand that these things are all irrelevant. The shuffling machines shuffle the cards faster so the dealers get to do more hands per hour so that the casinos take more rake. That's the purpose of the shuffle machines. All right. What's my favorite food? I like a lot of food. I particularly like spaghetti, and I like cheesecake. Not ricotta cheesecake. Other cheesecake. All right. The 500 tournament is the best structure you've ever seen. Okay, sure. But listen, you have to understand structure is not the only thing that gets me out of bed, right? Let's say I'm going to have a 200% ROI in this $500 tournament. Let's just pretend. It means I'm going to show up, I'm going to play, I'm going to make $1,000. But it's going to take 2 days on average. It's $500 a day. I'm probably going to make more than that just sitting and playing 5-10 no limit if I wanted to do that. I'll sit making more, doing a little coffee 4 times, because we're going to sell more than that in books most likely, and training videos, and poker coaching subscriptions. So for me personally, it doesn't make any sense at all to go and play that tournament. For a lot of people though, $1,000 in 2 days is a very good win rate, and they should be thrilled. We discussed this though before actually. I have a video, what is it? It's a blog post. I'm sure you can just Google Jonathan Little Monster Stack, where I discuss something to the effect of why recreational players should really avoid playing tournaments like the Monster Stack or the Millionaire Maker and tournaments like that. And that's because the field is very large and a lot of pros are in the field, and the pros tend to have a very, very good return on investment in those events, which means the recreational players have a very bad return on investment. They're all losing a lot, way more than a turbo tournament. Listen, if you know you're not very good at poker and you want to go play a World Series of Poker event, go play the turbo tournaments. The turbo tournaments are going to give you your best bang for your buck by a mile, assuming you care about money. If you don't care about money, play things like the $500 tournament. But you are going to get crushed in the $500 tournament if good players play, and I imagine a lot of good players are still going to play. Clearly, these people are losing because the dealer didn't wash the cards effectively enough. That's right. Make sure you ask for a wash every hand. If that doesn't work, get a new setup. And if that doesn't work, get another new setup. Anytime anyone complains about the dealers or the machines, you immediately label them a fish. So funny enough, Jason, I used at Bellagio, there was this player who's like final table at the World Poker Tour 25K buy-in when it used to be there at Bellagio. There was this one dealer, Carmela, who he hated. Anytime she would deal, cash game or tournament, I used to play 10-20 with this guy every day, he would get up and leave for 30 minutes. And every time he's like, yeah, every time she deals, I get unlucky. And this is a guy who is like a pretty decent player. But he's still a fish. So, yeah. Remember there's this one dealer, I forget who it is now at this point, I guess I didn't care that much, who every time she would deal to me, I would always lose to. But it's variance, right? If you have 30 dealers in a poker room, and you play there all day, every day, like me and this guy used to play Bellagio all day, every day, there is going to be a dealer who just really craps on you. I remember there was this one guy who loved my poker books. He was very nice kid. And every time he would deal with me, I would get it all in with a flip and lose, every single time. And I think he felt bad. But obviously it's irrelevant, right? Some people are going to deal you good cards just because if you flip coins with all these dealers, on some dealers you're going to lose like 5 flips in a row. It's just how it works. All right, let's see. Do you know about Omaha? Yes, I know about almost every form of gambling. Going back to researching games and being a good coach, that does not extend to only exactly poker. It's very important, especially if you have access to lots of good minds in all these various games, to know about all forms of gambling. So I know about all forms of gambling. Most forms of gambling, not all forms of gambling. I don't know about random Asian games or things like this. Let's see. Can I explain to you how? Ace, Ace, 2-2 versus King, King, 3-3. The last card is a king. We have, what do we have? We have Jack, 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 Ace, Ace. Or we have King, 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 Jack, Jack. Right? You look at the top, the one that has 3. The one that has 3. If the last card is a king, on Jack, 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 5, King, we have 3 kings and 2 jacks. 3 kings beats 3 jacks, which is what the aces have. They have Jack, 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 Ace, Ace. That is just reading the board. You need to understand how to read the board if you're going to play any game. I remember the first Omaha 8 or better tournament I ever played at the World Series. I was there and I was somehow on the river. I forget exactly what it was. My opponent had like the nut high, and I had some really bad low. So he turned over his nut high, I turned over my really bad low. Dealer took my hand, scooped it up, threw it in the muck, pushed the whole guy in the pot. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. And then The dealer's like, what? Like, I had the low. And no one else at the table was paying attention except for Barry Greenstein. Barry Greenstein said he had the 8-6 low or whatever it was. I'm like, oh, thank God Barry Greenstein's here. But I did have like the bad low, right? So the dealer couldn't even understand the board because the dealer's not very good, right? And to be fair, it was a weird board. Maybe there was like even 4 low cards or something. I don't know. But it's very important to be able to read the board, and do not rely on other people to read the board for you. Do I think short deck will last or die out? It certainly will survive. Will it thrive? I don't think it'll thrive. Most games that are very luck-based do not thrive long-term because the rake beats everyone. It doesn't make me a diva. It makes me only clean, an organized, civil human being. Thank you. Let's see. You say poker players never talk about cheating. No, cheating does take place every once in a while. The thing is that, especially if you're playing at high stakes, in a real casino, in a reputable place, you would be a fool to try to cheat because the downside is extreme. I mean, it takes place way more often in home games. I've only been cheated twice as far as I know, and both were in home games. I know that one time PokerStars gave me a refund. They said that there was some Chinese colluding ring that apparently colluded against me, and they sent me some number of thousands of dollars. And I was still winning. So if I'm sitting here winning against a colluding ring, to the point that they ban the colluding ring, send me a pile of money, feel free to collude, I guess. No Limit Hold'em's not a very good game to collude in, just because you don't get much of a benefit. The colluding makes way more sense when you have more known information, which is why high-stakes Omaha 8 or better games online, besides Heads Up, are pretty much dead. Because if you know 4 or 8 dead cards, you can play way better than if you don't. Be very careful with the games where they give you lots and lots of cards, especially online. Because, well, listen, only in high stakes, right? Again, people are, if someone's going to cheat you at 1-2, well, they're wasting their lives. But the high stakes games have gotten a little bit of trouble there, because when you know 12 dead cards, well, then you just like know if your outs are way more clean than they normally would be. Can you tell us about the time you did switch to work and play poker part-time and full-time? I mean, I've discussed this plenty of times, but basically I was going to college, studying engineering and then psychology. I was also working at an airport full-time, fueling airplanes. I was also working at a comic book store running Magic the Gathering tournaments. I quit my Magic the Gathering tournament running job first. Then eventually I quit my job at the airport. Then eventually I quit college. And that was it, right? By then I was making $20,000 a month online pretty consistently. I kept my $10 an hour job at the airport for about 4 months while I was still making $20,000 a month online, because I wanted to be really nitty, and you never know how long things are going to last. And that was it. Let's see. If you're winning against the colluding ring, then you are the bots. No, just people. If your opponents are bad, they can still collude and still lose. I mean, the only time like people can actually quote unquote cheat and really hurt you is if they know which cards are coming or they know which cards are in your hand, and then that becomes more of an issue with the site being secure, like we saw with Ultimate Bet, right? Ultimate Bet and Absolute Poker, some of the owners had access to people's cards. Clearly, you're not going to beat that. You're going to get demolished. But if your opponents are not already world-class in Hold'em games, there's really not a whole lot they can do in terms of the actual play of the game to screw you. They just can't, right? I mean, some people say, yeah, they can raise and re-raise you out of the pot. Yeah, but the thing is, you're going to have the nuts like 5% of the time and just crush them when they want to put all their money in. So you can't really get colluded in a otherwise fair game. And if you do, it's such a minimal amount that they can't actually take from you. Am I going to bring back my sideburns from 10 years ago? Probably not. Maybe, though. Depends on how fashion goes, I suppose. Oh, speaking of fashion, this isn't really fashion. I was invited to be the MC at the Michael J. Fox Foundation charity tournament on Wednesday here in New York City. I'm really, really excited about that. This is a big to-do. It's my first job as an MC. Never done it. It's a little bit exciting, a little bit nerve-wracking. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think the buy-in is $2,500 for a charity tournament, which is decently high. quite high. There aren't very many charity tournaments that have a higher buy-in. And it's always fun to get opportunities like this. Sometimes it just falls right in your lap, right? Actually, it did fall right in my lap. I was sitting here last Wednesday. They said the person who had emceed it for the last 9 years somehow couldn't do it. And I was friends with a guy, Justin Lapone, who's on the board. And I played a lot of charity tournaments with him. We battled. We have fun. And he thinks I'll do a good job. So I'm excited about that. If you're in New York City, sign up. There's a link for it on YouTube and Twitter somewhere. You can find that on my pages. It'll be a lot of fun. What are my thoughts on rake increases? Rake increases are great for the poker site, assuming they want to make money. Listen, it's become clear that PokerStars doesn't really care if you can win at poker. They want sporadic, huge winners from tournaments to make it look like the poker dream is alive and well. And then they want to rake everyone else to death, and that's okay. How many celebrities are playing the tournament? Probably a lot. Jim, you have to understand, if you're playing a charity tournament with a $2,500 buy-in, almost everyone there, especially in New York City, is either going to be a very high-up finance person or a celebrity. One of the two. Would love to run or play a satellite for this event. Well, make your own, Zach. Get in there and do it. It would be fun to run a satellite. Who won the 1,100 buy-in? We don't know yet. We have to make sure. Well, I do know, but we have to make sure that they claim it first. If they don't claim it, if they don't get back to me, then we'll give it to someone else. When at the end of the year you have a significant profit, do you like to donate a percentage to charity? Can you deduct that off your taxes? Eric, consult a tax professional. I typically just give away money every month consistently, but in theory it's probably smart to donate some portion of your winnings. Yeah, I don't exactly know. Consult a professional. What's my routine before a poker tournament? Have some water and go play. I used to have a very strict routine, but life has become more hectic. That said, what is my routine realistically? I wake up about an hour and a half before the tournament. I take care of whatever work I need to do. I work out a little bit. I have green protein powder, and I go play the tournament. When I show up, I get water if I don't already have it, and I get coffee if I don't already have it. And that's it. What do you think about leading ranges? I don't do a whole lot of leading. You should only lead when the board is very good for your range and you have the nut advantage, which doesn't actually happen all that much. Mostly happens on the turn in the river, though, not so much on the flop. We discussed this thoroughly in Mastering Small Stakes No Limit Hold'em, also at pokercoaching.com, so check that out. Do I late register or am I on time? Always on time unless there's a reason in my life to be late. When you show up on time, you get to play with a lot of weak players. When you show up late, you get to play with mostly strong players. That's just math, right? You want to play with players who are weak, and as the tournament progresses, on average, weak players bust, good players don't bust. So you want to buy in on time. All right, Instagram's telling me I have to go. I hope to see at least some of you at that charity tournament. It's going to be a great time. It's in New York City at Empire Steakhouse, right in Midtown. It's actually lucky. They were like, oh, should we help you with your transportation to get you there? I'm like, oh, no, it's a 5-minute walk from my house. So that'll be nice. Do I have anything else to say? No, that's it. I will be here on Wednesday for a little coffee, 9 a.m. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Add this one to the book. I don't know when I'm going to get around to making this book. This is going to be a big book. I think we're already like 100-something episodes of this. I decided to not number the show, the episodes for the show. But we're on episode 100 or 150, something like that. I'm sure one of you all know. Well, have a great day. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. If you have not signed up for your completely free trial at pokercoaching.com, please do so. Better your lives, right? If you treat poker like a sporadic hobby, well, you're going to get sporadic hobby results. If you take it seriously, treat it seriously, you will have good results if you put in volume and diligent study. So I'm here to help you with that if that's what you want in your life. And if it's not, well, go do something else. All right, have a great day. Click like, click subscribe, whatever all your buttons are you can click. Mash the buttons. Online players are good at mashing buttons. Mash all the buttons. Share this with your friends. I'll see you on Wednesday.